Should you retire early to save money on taxes? I've had this question from so many clients over the years. So if you have this question as well, you are not alone. Watch on for my 2 cents on this and a few exceptions that you should probably be aware of. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew. I'm a CFA charter holder and CFP professional who has spent the last several years helping ultra high net worth and high net worth investors with their complex financial lives. I'm also the owner of Lever Wealth Management, which is the financial advisor for people who scare financial advisors. And what I do is I take the thousands of iterations that I've had over the years and I give them to you so that hopefully you can apply them to your life. Should you retire early to reduce your lifetime tax liability? It's an interesting question, and I understand why people pose it because taxes reduce your spendable income in retirement, right? However, the short answer is probably not, with only a few exceptions. So if you want to stop watching right now, that's most likely the answer for you. But to tease this out a little bit, think of it this way. Taxes imply compensation, of which I keep the majority. If I make $1 million over the next 3 years, I'm doing 3 things. I'm using that compensation to live on. I'm not spending down assets that I currently have that could be experiencing compound growth. And on any savings that I have from the excess over and above my living expenses, I'm experiencing compound growth on those assets. So it really is a triple threat. Now, it's not fun to pay taxes. And many times when we're close to retirement, those are our highest earning years. So it feels like you're just getting killed every single year. And I get it. I empathize with that. But retiring early simply so that you have a drop in your tax bracket, if that's the game you're playing, of trying to minimize your tax liability that way, you're minimizing the tax liability because you're not earning as much. And so you would end up in almost all circumstances with more money at the end by working those few years. Now, a few exceptions, because I was really trying to think of some exceptions to this rule. A few exceptions that I thought of, and I'm sure there are more. Feel free to tell me in the comments if there are more exceptions to this. But an exception I did think of is if you are close to having a liquidity event and you are over the federal estate exemption amount of roughly 28-ish million right now, pulling that into this year, the liquidity event, so that you can do gifting into irrevocable trusts, family limited partnerships, that type of thing, so that you're capturing all of that exemption amount before it goes down in 2026 by half, assuming no change in tax laws. That will save you significant taxes and is a good reason to pull forward future income, right? In my example, the 300,000 you're going to make from next year pales in comparison to the enterprise value you're going to be realizing today or tomorrow. It just so happens that it's better for you from an estate tax perspective to bring that to today. Another example that I've seen with some clients who are large W-2 earners is many times when you tell your boss, hey, I'm gonna be leaving here, they go, I don't really like that you said that. And so why don't we work something out? And many times people do 1099 or contract work. And so let's say you go from making 300,000 W2 to 275 or 260 of 1099, but you're able to elect an S corp status within your LLC, and your reasonable compensation for yourself is 100,000. You're now getting out of some Social Security tax, self-employment tax, that type of thing. And you have business expenses that you can write off. And so within that framework, it could make sense to turn off and retire and turn on the contract work because you're enabling some expense deduction, you're reducing your W-2 compensation, but that's not an everyday experience. So my encouragement to you is if you're wanting to retire, fantastic. I have several videos on why you should consider retiring and what you should look at before retiring. However, simply reducing your tax exposure for a few years that you could have been earning is not typically a great reason to retire. So hope that's helpful. Until next time, see y'all.